All right, welcome back, everybody. We have replaced your host, Crowrevell here, and Farb is joining me in the booth.
Hello.
And now we're going to have a new set of racers. Your channel host, Holoshideim, will be playing against Necrorebel for this round. This again might be a shortened round of only 2 runs because of extenuating circumstances, which is what we always are dealing with when we're playing FTL.
It's true. Voting has closed, as Cassis said in chat.
Exciting times to see if chat, once again, went with Stealth B. I admire the consistency. Yeah, let's go ahead and see what 3 ships they are to choose between.
Looks like we got Slug A, NGA, and Zoltan C. And who was doing the ban first?
I can ban Zoltan C.
There we go.
That's the one I actually wanted to play. In that case, I guess I'll ban NGA. So I guess we're doing Slug A then.
No ions.
Okay.
I think this should be interesting to see. Just because the early game can be kind of weird, and then you have the crew kill ability.
Yep.
Yeah, a bit of a slow start on this one sometimes, so it should be interesting.
Yeah, so I think everybody here in this channel should be familiar with Holoshideim. It is their channel. They are we're actually dealing with 2 no pause experts. So they both like to play FTL without actually pausing during combat. And we'll see how
Both
that
you guys
translates into playing as fast as possible.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Crow.
No,
Both you guys
go
are
ahead.
speedy players too, and it should be interesting to watch for that reason too. Okay, yeah, I will give the seed out here. Keep it real simple. Just 6, 1, 1, 5. Had to subvert expectations, kinda. But I think we should be ready to go, right? All right, well, then on the count of 3, we can get started here. Best of luck to both of you guys. You guys have anything to say before we get started here?
Nope, just good luck.
Hopefully this doesn't suck.
Yeah, agreed. All right. So again, on the count of 3, we'll go. 1, 2, 3, go.
All right. So this is your recommendation, Slug A.
It was, yeah. I felt like it could just be, I think it'll be interesting to see if the players are choosing to go for crew kills or just trying to end the fights faster. Also, I kind of thought that with the bio beam, it does offer a quick way to get crew kills, which could be fun. So looks like NR already got, they both got a Mantis already.
Yeah, and one got boarded by 4 humans, and the other one is dealing with a Zoltan shielded ship with mind control. So it's nice they got the Bantis so that the mind control didn't go to waste.
So thoughtful.
Yeah. So Slug A is a ship where generally it's one of those weapon ships where you want to get to 2 shields as fast as possible, right? So that you can get those very safe crew kills in conjunction using bio beam or anti-bio beam and small bomb. But it's interesting because the ship kind of comes with a buffer point. So we'll see if the racers are going to sort of push the fact that they have that option for them.
Yeah, it definitely will be interesting to see here. Hold on, I'm getting confused with clicking and talking at the same time. It's a wonder how I can stream.
Yeah, it is. Just from a player perspective, it's so different because there's the chat interactions, and typically I'm just kind of explaining what I'm doing, but there's no time for that because you're just kind of making choices and going with them, and I don't know. It's really kind of, as I said, I don't play no pause, but no pause players will generally just like look at a fight, take a couple seconds, couple minutes if need be to sort of figure their way through a fight and what they're trying to do. And like we don't really have time for that.
Yeah, it's true. And when, like you're saying, when you're coming from playing pause, it's just like you gotta go. You gotta put all that aside and just go for the most part. It looked like Holo had the 4-human border here too.
Yeah, we've actually already seen a slight subtle difference between them, where Holo went with the slug-in weapons versus the slug-in engines. Oh, and a ship got away from Necrorebel there.
Yeah, and I like the slug-in weapons better because you retain your weapons manning if you do get MC'd now, where, the mantis being in weapons means you have to not only defend it, but you lose your manning. And that can be relevant. The dual laser and the breach bomb are so fast that you still want them manned because you can stop different things from firing at you, which is really good. I kind of missed what was in the store here. My feed is...
I think Necrorebel just pitched the gel and went for shields and a power bar.
Gotcha.
Which again is another one of those things that's going to be... I am well known for not wanting to buy reactor, particularly in the first 2 sectors, if I can get away with it to, increase purchase power. But that does require a lot more microing, which again, microing takes time.
It's interesting because we're talking safety versus trying to get ahead and stuff. I think it's fairly important to try to take advantage of being able to buy weapons when they're in front of you, even more so in this format than normal, because that can give you the advantage of getting you ahead and stuff. And specifically on Slug A, you have the dual laser and 2 power, right? So if you can get a burst laser or get a beam, or just anything, you instantly put it on, and then you instantly start getting ahead of your opponent if they're not able to, right?
Yeah, exactly. And again, in terms of speed, where it's like, I think, in my first round race with Sleeping Dragons, there was a halber beam in the store, and where they opted to come back to it, I had delayed sort of shield upgrades, and
right,
like you don't want to miss a halber beam. Halber beam is just absolute king in terms of just like outright killing ships efficiently.
Yeah, especially for the early game, if you're able to, use it with a laser or something. So there's an ion stunner in this store that Necrorebel is on, and he's opting to get to 4 weapon power here to use the bio beam. I think I buy the ion stunner there, honestly.
Yeah, I kind of like getting sort of the ion stunner with dual lasers. You're kind of like a Kestrel C setup there. I mean, 3 shots.
Right.
One of those things in trying to get consistency in FTL is making do with what the game gives you. But at the same time, it's if you get this weapon online and it helps you to sort of speed through getting some crew kills, and that translates into you getting weapons.
True. So it looks like NR's in Civi Sector 2, and all 3 stores are right there, if I'm seeing that correctly. He does find a safe fight here.
Yeah. So actually, the Holoshideim got in a fight where there was like asteroids and double heavy lasers. If you want to know why you should try and get 2 shields most of the time, like that fight existing, sometimes they could come with an offensive drone.
Yeah, that's exactly that.
Really disgusting. But again, there's going to be those choices that players are kind of making. Where, like I said, we see here, they both kind of went the safe route. They got the shields up, which makes sense because it is more crew killing ship. So you're going to try and generate free items with your crew kills.
Yeah, and what Holo just had too was kind of why I picked the ship, right? Because I think sometimes killing with the bio beam is going to be faster than just trying to dual laser shields or breach bomb shields and stuff.
Yeah, so what's interesting about the biobeam, what makes it a little bit tricky is like how the AI functions. So if the AI is like at full health and none of the ships are like, if there's no systems damage, as soon as their health ticks like 1%, they just immediately will run to the med bay if that's an option. So you actually have to like damage a system to change them into sort of like, I guess there's like a calm state and then a hostile state. And so you have to sort of be mindful where it's like, why NGs are particularly annoying to deal with the bio swipes, because they just fix things so fast. So they'll fix something and then they'll run and then they'll go get themselves healed.
Yeah, and it looked like NR actually skipped all of the stores there, which is interesting. Holo has a free defense 2 drone and the slug gel to sell here still. Yeah, Holo buys the ion stunner. I think that's probably pretty good. I do think I go to this other store here too.
Yeah, I mean, we're in this really. Another interesting thing about this ship is it just starts with so much stuff, because you can sell the anti-bio beam, you can sell the slug gel, and so you're already looking at, I think it's like, what, 55 scrap with that?
Right.
So that gives you a whole lot of possibilities.
We hear somebody's game. Oh.
Yeah, I would actually kind of prefer, because it makes it difficult for me to hear Farb. It's okay. It's all good. It's all good. Suddenly I had the urge to vent some humans, and I was like, whoa.
Right. NR got a free NG there. He's in a weapon hack against the bad fight now.
Ugh.
All kind of bad fight.
Yeah. I mean, you're generally really happy when you pick up an NG crew. They have a lot of blue options, which people seem to fixate on. But the real big thing is that the 2 times repair speed, being able to fix a system in 6.25 seconds once they get there is, yeah.
So it also looks like Holo got 4 weapon power up as well here to run the dual breach and bio beam side by side.
Yeah,
I actually think that's pretty good here, right? Like, you have the extra safety with the breach bomb, you want your dual lasers going, and then like we've been talking about, right? Like, you just want to start getting the crew kill as soon as possible, because a lot of the times that's going to be how you end the fight quickest. Holo's about to come up on the strip mall too.
Yeah, again, we talk about how like you normal play, you'll like delay getting your reactor online because you have better purchasing power. And another thing where it's just like the ship does start with 3 weapon power, so you could be running the dual laser, the breach bomb, and the ion stunner. That's pretty good, because Sector 2 is predominantly going to be one shielded ships.
That's
but
good.
If you can get another weapon online so that you're able to power the anti-bio beam as an option for faster kills. One of the things, from a player's perspective in doing this kind of tournament is going like, all right, here's what I don't typically do because there's a certain risk assessed to it, but how much risk is actually involved with it is really difficult to determine.
It's super hard to know, man. It really is. I forgot what I was just gonna say.
It's hard to determine
Classic.
like risks versus going fast in these kind of tournaments.
Oh, right. So from watching from my perspective and then thinking about how I've played in the show match and stuff, and also doing like the practice runs, I'm seeing a theme of players maybe holding on to the way they typically play a little too much. But again, like, it's the same thing with the risk assessment. It's like, how do you actually make the decision to go against what you know is right, and then like, have to deal with it. But also, most of us are looking at it from trying to win consistently all of the time. Man, these stores have sucked, for the record.
We actually saw just a second there ago, the Holo was hitting shields and was able to get like the bio beam swipes for the kills there. Oh, now FTL, okay, takes the FTL jammer. Again, an interesting choice. So I know in my runs, I turned down a couple surrender offers because you don't get the ship kill, so it's a little slower score. But in terms of how much time it also would save,
Right,
that becomes a question.
It's hard to balance. But the main thing too is like, the only bad jump is really a jump that you are not making scrap at, right? Because scrap
True.
and the like, you always get points for making a jump, but you get bonus points if you get the ship kill and scrap, right? So just getting scrap is still good. And then like you're saying, you know, how do you weigh time into that, right? Like you might be saving 35-40 seconds in a fight, maybe even longer, and then especially in the early game where you're not making that much scrap anyway, but you still want the ship kill. It's like, do you just take surrenders that you maybe normally wouldn't to get into the later game where you can farm more and take a little bit more time that way? And I don't know, I think
Yeah, no, it's again, it is. There's all these different calculations that you're just normally not trying to account for. And actually, wow, like I mean, you can just look at how fast Holo caught up to Sector 3. They blew through Sector 2
Right.
with the weapon loadout that they had, because
an hour into a store.
yeah, Necrorebel got to was 10 minutes into Sector 3. I generally like to spend like a nice 45 minutes in my Sector 1s, you know?
Same, actually. Also, this is kind of showing why you probably should buy the Ion Stunner in that store. You know, typically you're not gonna miss this hard for weapons in your stores, but the stores have just been empty in terms of usable offense and all of that.
Yeah, Holo's in a really gross fight right now. There's an ASB, there's a missile, and there's an Ion Intruder.
In his O2 and medbay.
The ASB went through the engines.
That's really bad.
And this is Sector 3.
Oh, he needs to get out of there. Nice micro there. Oh no. Okay, the drone is down right now though, so he should not die here, which is I take back what I said. That's really bad. I think that's 2 breaches in his O2 currently.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's dead. Stunzo. Rip. Well, now Necrorebel does have to get to Sector 4 to win, but maybe for time's sake, we just go and start another run, Cass. Okay, yeah, we're gonna grab the players back and just go and get into another run so we can continue moving forward here. But yeah, that was nasty. That was such a bad fight, and then the ASB to the O2 to seal the deal for the AI there.
I'm going to assume that's the there's like a beacon where you had to either sit near the beacon or you can go, and yeah. It's like if you're weak on crew, which wasn't the case there, because you have the Mantis, you have the NG, you have level 2 doors, but just that combination of the Ion Intruder and the ASB, and not really having like you have very tactical weapons, but you didn't have hull damaging weapons. You didn't have a way to just end that fight, and
right.
Yeah,
it's brutal.
There's a lot of different ways. I mean, the Ion Intruder could have just gone into shields or could have gotten into weapons, and yeah, there's a lot of different ways that could have gone really badly.
And even what you're saying, like if the Ion Intruder doesn't even go to O2 to medbay and back and forth, like you probably don't die there. You have more O2 when the ASB hits there, your medbay is online, so your crew's a little higher. Like I know it got broken eventually, right? But yeah, and it's just really unlucky.
Yeah, and that's another difference where if I'm doing a normal run, there are certain quest lines like merchant delivery and some of the abandoned station quest, which has 3 different introductory texts, and it's just I'll just go on the wiki after I type in this phrase in Google and there it is, and okay, here are the outcomes, and do that risk assessment where in this tournament it's just okay, I'm just gonna get the fights, and yeah, go ahead. Sorry. All right. Okay. Yeah. Well, welcome back to Holoshideim and Necrorebel. It was we expected it to be fast, but not quite that fast. Hollow, you had a really disgusting fight with an Ion Intruder ASB.
Yeah, that sucked.
Yeah, that kind of fight, I know that it's dangerous, but I think it was worth a shot.
Yeah, I think that kind of goes to show, you know, I'm guessing in a normal play you don't take that event there, right? But like in this format, you're so focused on getting the ship kill, getting scrap that you're just like trying to roll these events.
Yeah, normal run, I think you have the like. It's one of the things. On average, I feel like it's unlikely to be punished, but there is still a chance. So if you don't have to take the risk, you just don't.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, because I think there's like it's 2 times like low scrap outcome, and then there's
You can also get an elite ship with friendly ASB. Then with the breach, you have enough to suppress for a bit, and then they eventually die from that. But yeah, that I don't know. I think on average the fight is fine, but again, there is always a chance of being very bad.
yeah.
And Intruder is especially brutal when you have low crew.
Yeah, no crew, and you don't have like we were talking like you just don't have weapons that just end that fight. It's like okay, if I have like Zoltan B and I can just pike beam and kill them.
Yeah, I haven't tried to
option.
shut it down, but that buffers and runs, so
yeah,
it just doesn't go down.
All right.
And
well,
also, if they don't breach oxygen with the last ASB, it's also fine.
Oh yeah, for sure. We were talking about that right after it happened. Like, you're anywhere else, you probably are fine there, right? Like, you don't die.
Even if they
Maybe
breach
medbay.
medbay, it will suck, but you're not dead.
Yeah, exactly.
It's okay. It's just the game.
It's tough. Yep, totally agree.
And
I
then-
do think we're gonna get right into the next run now, right?
Sure.
So we're not going to do ship picks right now, right? We're just gonna roll, Cass. Oh. Well, I guess both Necro and Hollow, do you want to play Slug A again, or should we pick a different ship? I'll leave the choice up to you guys.
It's the same for me.
I don't really have any preference, so yeah, it's like I guess again it's fine.
Okay, let's do it. That's fine. Makes it simple, and we can just hop right into it here. Just kind of keep going forward with keeping in mind about the time constraints that we're running with. So, Crow, you want to do the seed this time or no?
I thought I was not allowed to do seeds anymore.
Oh,
That
okay.
There was a Geneva Convention meeting specially convened. So yeah.
All right, I got you. Okay. So the seed's gonna be 116272. And that's it. And then I'll count down here. We'll just get right into it. And yeah, good luck again. Hopefully you know, no more Ion Intruders into your O2s and ASBs hitting your O2.
Also, hopefully we
But,
found weapons this time, because I never actually really found any
Yeah.
weapons until actually
Yeah.
after the jump after I had won. So
That's funny, we didn't see that. Yeah, the
yeah,
Ion
it was a
Stunner
briefness, so it wasn't
was...
super good, but still, it was something at
Sure.
least.
Right. Yeah, the Ion Stunner was about the only usable thing there. But anyway, let's get to it. I'll count down from 3 or 2, 3 again, and then say go. So again, good luck, and here we go. 1, 2, 3, go.
And I just want to say, like that convention, like that was clearly not with protocols. I didn't have legal representation while that was going on, so you know,
It's for the better.
I filed an appeal, of course.
Don't worry
I
about
got
it.
my
It's,
people. Yeah,
it's for the better.
Slander
Kind of a
me.
gross first fight here.
Again, not my seed. I didn't pick it. But yeah, I'm innocent, so I'm pretty cool with what's happening here. Yeah, so again, like the ship fights you really don't want in Sector 1 are like 3 powered Zoltan shields and then riggers and disruptors with like drone control, particularly combat drones.
That's pretty gross. This is a good example of how important the weapon buffer can be sometimes in the early game like this, right? Because I think it was Hollow that just took damage into the weapons, but it really didn't matter here.
Yeah, I know exactly that. As we said, that one of the benefits of this particular ship is you kind of have this buffer already in your weapons. I think you have to kind of be careful about is when you get sort of in these potential death spirals. With this ship is actually swapping to breach bomb in position 1, so you don't have to land both shots.
Yeah, agreed. Hollow just had some awesome micro there to keep his slug. Yeah. What a stupid fight. Who picked the seed, man?
We'll get our top people on it. Make sure do a full investigation and then clear
Cass
ourselves
actually
of any...
DM'd me the number as we were talking. I would like to go on record. I have full proof. It wasn't me.
Yeah. So aside from really, there's like only like the one hull damaging weapon. Even though it's a really good weapon, it's dual lasers. The only 2 crew can be a problem dealing with like boarding or putting out fires.
Yep. And I did get a crew. I didn't see if it was from a reward or a crew kill or anything, but it's interesting again to put the rock on weapons.
I think that Necro was able to turn that fight into a crew kill with the anti-bio beam.
Oh, true. Yeah, I did see him going for that.
Yeah.
Now that
so rewards.
Hollow's in the same fight.
Yeah, rewards are seeded, except apparently Zoltan shields. But if somebody gets a crew kill, then that taps into a different pool of rewards, so the results will vary. Like if you both got crew kills, they would both get the same thing. But yeah, if one gets a crew kill, the other one doesn't. It's different. It's like Repair Gel putting in a little bit of work with all those breaches. And another crew kill. Yeah, Necrorebel is not going for buffer point in shields yet.
Ooh,
yeah, losing a jump into another drone. Only has a Leto missile, so if you see drone control in the first 2 sectors, it is only going to be a Leto missile. They can only have 1 power weapons.
I would assume here that Necro is foregoing shields because both players have vision on a store. Looks like Hollow's doing the same, right? So that would be my assumption there. Oh, I didn't realize this event also doubled the fleet for both players too. Does that affect their store here?
I don't think so. I don't know how the rest of the sector routing goes. Again, another thing with playing this turn, like sector routing, it's like you can sometimes kind of sweep through to like get your beacons, but there are definitely times I was just like, oh, like I need to now double back for this jump, and I can't figure out. And this is not going to be as nearly as clean or as profitable as it could have been because of that.
Right. I'm so used to, taking 20 minutes to figure out my route too, that it's like you just kind of have to fly by there. Okay, so the store is still up. Hollow's going straight to it.
Yeah, so they got the crew kill, got the extra fuel out of storage. That's a crew kill reward. Where you get
there's no weapons, but there's scanners here. Nah, in a standard run, I don't think I go scanners, but I do think I buy them here. Yeah.
It's interesting. Like, again, this ship starts with... Yeah, this ship starts with so much stuff. You can maybe, again, get away with it. It's like, I know I harp on long-range scanners quite a bit. It's not, you buy long-range scanners, you're going to lose a run. That's not what it's about. It's about in very, very... like in really bad runs, spending that scrap when you needed to spend it somewhere else can in fact cost you runs, and it's really important to make those kind of considerations versus this definitely is going to get me money. Well, if you don't live,
totally agree.
It's not getting you money.
You also don't know what kind of run you're in until after you're already in it, so you can be fine and ahead and buy scanners at one point, and then just totally, ships can run from you. You can be forced into certain routes that don't have, you know, any real scrap in them. You know, like you could just roll low scrap.
Gonna
You
get
could.
away.
That does get away from Hollow there.
Okay. I don't know. Fleet Pursuit doubling one though.
Bunch of fights right here though. That feels good.
Yeah, I had the last time I lost on Stealth B, I think I had like a really solid sector 1. It was, you know, over 100 scrap and had good hold. But then the next 2 sectors, I went double Mantis, and I think one was like 56 scrap, and the other one was like 70 something scrap, and it was just like, oh, okay,
Sure.
well, thanks for that, and promptly died in sector 4.
Looks like Anar's gonna get another crew kill here too. You know, it is interesting. I would be interested to know, like what is faster if you want to go for crew kills with the bio beam or not.
Yeah.
Because where you are like using less volleys, you're also holding off on the dual laser more, and those shots could be used to put in shields, and then now you're doing 2 damage instead of 1 damage and all that. But
yeah, that's always like a scrap for debris. You can just lose crew there, even with a clone bay. So no
Right.
go on that.
And I
Ghost
think
can
that's a high
finally
reward
upgrade.
too. I think that was Uncharted and Pirate for Sector 2 here, which is pretty much Pirate 100% of the time.
Yeah, both 1 store, 1.5 stores, should say. But yeah, if it's a purple sector, the sector 4, it's going to be Uncharted. Slugs don't show up until sector 4.
Also, early store for Necrorebel in Sector 2 here, but not really having the scrap to go to utilize it. Does look like he's bought a power bar or 2, I'm not sure. Nice high reward there, though. That's pretty sick.
Yeah, you take those bribes.
Yeah, you do.
I mean, we're the good guys, but we also take bribes.
Right. They're just funding our goodness, you know?
Yeah, I think they're really more just like tips. The Federation is, you know, it still kind of believes in tip service. We're working on it. We just have other things to deal with currently.
Yeah.
The Rebels, bad Geneva Convention protocols, you know, things that are a concern.
Corrupt but honorable, exactly.
I mean,
Checks out.
how could you bribe somebody that you didn't trust that would honor the bribe?
Again, it all checks out. We're the good guys. And I got free crew there too.
Yeah, so now that this is just like, now we're in like the store hunt. We've kind of stabilized the run. We got to our 2 shields, and now it's just trying to get either predominantly. I'm looking for weapons here as much as hacking is great. Just having extra shots. As I said, against one-shielded ships, you're really only looking to deal like maybe 1 damage with the dual lasers. So, you know.
Yeah, I think you're pretty spot on there that you'd want to go for weapons. I mean, like, you buy hacking if it's there and there's not really like usable weapons.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I think this is a spot where you would want to favor getting more offense going.
Yeah, and they're both turning down crew. Well, Necrorebel makes sense turning down crew, particularly when they have 5 and Hollow is currently sitting at 2. But slaver ships are high rewards. So, like, you know, it's probably not going to be worth, you know, particularly early on, getting 20, 22 scrap from an early sector reward that's pretty massive. I mean, that sector 1s are about 120, 25 scrap averages. Sector 2s are actually a little bit down comparatively. So it's just like, oh, here's, you know, 20% of your scrap, or you get a human. It's like,
so Hollow is actually in position to use this early store here, and there just happens to be another Ion Stunner. But could be an interesting difference in how the run shakes out here too, if you know, we would find ourselves looking for weapons kind of like we were the first go of this.
yeah, again, there's sort of that preface of like how you expect a run to go. When we're playing, I have a general guideline. It's like, all right, here's my first upgrade, and I'm going to be looking for this in these early sectors, and hopefully things kind of just follow along that path. because it gets really spooky when it doesn't.
Right.
And another thing I've talked about, and this kind of normally deals with like win streak and just like winning in general,
More
is
crew?
like, wow, all right, no, we're at 7. We got room for one more. Is just how mentally taxing FTL is. It's brutal. Like, it's a brutal game where you have to be on a lot of the time. And, you know, like, if you can get those runs, the quote-unquote carried runs, where you can just kind of turn your brain off for the last, you know, 3 sectors, that's really great. Because you're trying to, like, save up that, you know, that sort of your mental energy, your ability to withstand, like, the bad blows of RNG when you have just those absolute trash runs.
Yeah, no, it's totally true. Especially if you're doing multiple runs in a day too, right?
Yeah, who does that? It's the person who runs tend to be around 4 hours ish. You know, it's tough to justify doing a second run. I know I'm cruel and at times unfair, but you know, chat does need a break. So
it's true. I like to shoot for 2 runs a day, but sometimes it's too much.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there's like I said, you can have those runs where it's just like, oh, like we won it by sector 4. That's great. You can kind of have fun and do maybe silly things like, I don't know, like buy an ion bomb or whatever. Make questionable decisions, but you're probably going to just get away with it. Yeah, triple small bomb. And yeah, but then, like I said, it's those runs that can just kind of drag on, and it's bad RNG the whole way down. It's just rough. Ooh, we're in a pulsar fight here.
Yep. Necro is at 4 weapon power too.
So for people who don't know how pulsars work, pulsars are going to hit your shields if you have any power in your shields, even if it's just a lone Zoltan and then a random system, or it's just going to hit 2 random systems. And then the amount of ion damage it deals to that systems is related to how much power is in those systems. So it's like the number of power plus 2, and then that total is divided by 2. So if you're really on your game with like a little bit of practice, you can do a lot of manipulation of like toggling your shield off, so maybe it's less likely to get hit, so you can have it up for other weapons, or you leave it on to try and protect your weapons from getting hit. You can also Zoltan 3 is really gross. But just to finish the thought, you can like power your weapons so that if they do get hit with ions, one of their weapons still stays online.
Right, and you're able to do that on Slug A here because you can power the bio beam and leave the dual laser on.
So is this a Zoltan shield with an Artemis and a burst laser too? Because that's
it looks
gross.
that way. It's really gross. I guess this is a spot where having the 4 weapon power is handy. If you put the bio beam on the right, you get to keep your dual laser and breach bomb up.
Wow, yeah, the Artemis is out for blood. Like that again, why Zoltan sectors, you know, didn't have a choice here. Why we generally went to avoid them. There's just such a lack of like activity. Like normally they get 2 volleys off before you even are able to crack their Zoltan shields. Yep. And you know, if they hit you in the weapons or if they hit you in the shields, stuff spirals really bad. And like cloaking giant missiles is generally kind of annoying, but at least you're charging your FTL while that's kind of going on. And there are certain situations where cloaking like screws up the enemy ship where they don't fire their weapons.
Right.
But yeah, just like Zoltans being Zoltans.
Safe fight here for an R. The thing about cloaking though too is like there's a set amount of time that you can't interact with their ship, right? So if you have hacking and you want to hack weapons or shields or something, you do it when they come on a cloak. If you don't have beam weapons, you could be sitting, I mean, okay, it really doesn't happen, but like you could be sitting against the Zoltan shield not being able to do anything besides run and take damage for, you know, 3-4 volleys if you're super unlucky, and that's not good. That's bad. It's a really bad. You know, one of the main things for consistency is like controlling as much of the game as you can, and Zoltan shields have like the least controllability for a player.
Necrorebel just got a reloader from that crew kill. And actually, if you were watching on Holoshideim side, stop paying attention to one of my own runs, let alone the 2 runs that are sort of going on. But Holo, you saw that Holo flashed the shield because the heavy laser 1 was still up. And so it was trying to lower it being struck by the pulsar, and then was able to get the shield up in time to absorb the heavy shot.
Yeah, that's huge. As
Yeah,
the
there didn't
pulsar
have
hit shields right there.
Yeah, I didn't have a choice there.
Oh, jeez. Hold on. I gotta answer the door, apparently.
All right. So the Necrorebel got some repairs and is back going. So if you get a crew kill and they let you choose between crew, that's those are medium scrap rewards. So like that actually has an option of 2 high scrap rewards, or you get to pick a crew and you get medium scrap. So yeah, Necro with the full bub going right now. Actually, if Necro kills off the human and then can get a Mantis, it's kind of like Noah's Ark there. You would have 2 slugs, 2 rocks, 2 NGs, 2 Mantis. That's just a good personal goal to have.
Okay, sorry about that. No Jehovah Witnesses today. Just I'm the only one here right now, and had to answer the door. But we're good. We're back. Oh, Hollow got the
Border police.
Border police. Kind of a gross fight here too. Hey, there's my picture. I have makeup on for the cast, but that's actually me.
It is really amazing what you can do with like filters now these days.
It is. It really is.
Oh no. Back to working. Yeah, so Zoltan Border Police, again, Zoltan sectors, they can always have Zoltan Border Police, a pretty disgusting where they can board you with somewhere between like 2 to 4 Zoltans. They can have, of course, they'll have their Zoltan shields. Sometimes they can have mind control to boot as well. So they can be really disgusting fights.
Super nasty.
It's probably the most feared event in the sector, though there should be some consideration for the mineral rights fight, which is like an asteroid field, and they can have drone control. And it's just like, oh, so they have a Zoltan shield, and there's an asteroid, and a combat 1, and a beam drone, and yeah, this could go very badly.
The difference in crew is actually kind of wild. Their paths haven't been like all that different.
Yeah, I think Necrorebel has just squeezed out a couple more crew kills, and is a little bit more ahead.
That's fair.
Yeah, again, there's one of those really interesting choices that can come in towards like later in the game, where it's just like, particularly in this format of, is it make more sense to go for a crew kill here? Is that going to be faster time wise, or I don't want to actually get that crew reward with low scrap, particularly late game, because so crew and items that you get do not have an impact on score. It is of no benefit to get those items in terms of how we determine the rating of a run here in the tournament. Right. It's just not reflected in your score. Neither is like scrap from scrap recovery arm.
Nasty pulsar fight here. And I just had shields and weapons hit and a fire into his piloting now. Oh, and engines. Oh man, this is not great.
No.
I guess the big thing here is he's got a bunch of crew to use.
Yeah, I can fix things, but the weapons are still fully online. Is that
could be GG?
It's a DD1.
Oh man, weapons hit again with shields here.
And the pulsar, wow, the pulsar hit weapons and shields. Yeah.
Gross. Oh, that's it.
Wow. After these 2 runs, Barb, don't be too surprised if the Geneva Convention decides to give you a phone call.
That's my seed picking procedure that's messing it all up today.
Yeah, pulsars just, again, pulsars, like I said, knowing how pulsars work helps, but yeah, I mean, again, you can just still roll bad RNG and systems getting hit that you don't want to get hit. can really go sideways quickly. So yeah, again, another thing that's not seen is like how pulsars, like they're just going to hit the systems at random. Same thing. I don't think we can like see like what systems get hacked either by like a hacking drone.
I think in fights there's not really a way to seed anything as far as like the targeting, the hacking, the pulsar. Like, I don't think there's a way you can do that.
Yeah. So now it's Chain Ion is going ham. So yeah, we are now just kind of waiting to see if Holo can surpass where Necrorebel was and thus become victor. Actually, you know what? Maybe we should. I mean, I'm one to dodge responsibility when I can. Raka had a lot of deaths against Necrorebel, and now other people are. Maybe Necrorebel is actually the problem.
It's me. It's totally me.
All right. I mean,
I'll take the blame. Fine.
So yeah, this Chain Ion is going to work. Okay. Yeah. So it's funny, but like Chain Ions are like they're bad. Like they're so ridiculously slow. I actually had a run where I had a Chain Ion and a Vulcan, and the Vulcan would kill ships before the Chain Ion actually got going.
It's pretty bad.
But if you don't have a way to interact with it, yeah, it starts doing 4 ion damage, and things can get plenty nasty.
Right.
Holos has the ability to jump away.
Yeah, this is also a good example of like not being able to do a lot of damage, and Holo's also out of missiles in this fight too, so he's relying on he has to shoot the ion center to get through 2 shields here, and then hope the dual laser hits to do 1 damage to something, to a ship against, or to a ship that has NGs on board. Yeah. It's kind of, I don't know. This is an issue that I find common on Slug A for whatever reason. Even having the dual laser, which is a top tier weapon, and the breach bomb, just like for whatever reason, the early game transition into the mid game can like really suffer, and it's weird because it's a common theme I see with it.
Here's that nice safe fight that we saw earlier, and yeah, again, the Zoltan sectors can be really brutal. Sector 3. So Sector 3 is when you see the first kind of like upgraded enemy ships. Sector 1 and Sector 2 are generally the same in hard mode. Right. Sector 3 is when you start really seeing like 2 shielded ships and 4 power in weapons. Which, can get some pretty disgusting combination of weapons.
Mm-hmm. And then when you're forced into double Zoltan and you're lacking on weapons yourself, you run into situations like this.
Yeah, so one thing I noticed is Holo did go with the engines upgrade. So engines upgrade in the early game for me tend to be a situation where I feel like there might be fights that I have to run away from.
Yep.
And there's not like a reasonable thing to do in like an improvement on my ship.
And for the most part, it's fairly cheap too, but also again, like you really sometimes have to weigh how likely it is for you to be running from a fight, like you said, right?
Yeah, so we talked about like, hey, plan to like, here's the upgrade path that I want for these particular ships. Like, I'm gonna get a weapon buffer, I'm gonna get my shields online. Got the same automated reloader for the crew kill, and got to a store. Okay. So this is the same really terrible store, but at least you get to heal up. Don't know if we're going to go for distraction buoys or not.
Did Necro have scanners? I don't remember. I feel like he did buy them.
That was like at the Sector 1 store, right?
Right.
Scanners.
It looks like I would assume the Pulsar is the one to the left here. I'm not sure though.
Well, I think there were 2 pulsar fights in this sector,
Oh,
if I
okay.
recall correctly. And I don't know, there could be, again, long-range cannons. If you get a forced jump, like, too bad. Like, that's the way you got to go.
Right.
Okay. All right, so we're going to go ahead and call it, and we're going to go ahead and have ourselves a break. Let the players kind of shake off what was some pretty brutal early sectors, and then get probably a different ship in coming up ahead. So thanks everybody for hanging out, and we'll be back right after the break. Okay, well, welcome back. We had another race that had a somewhat similar ending, with this time Necrorebel unfortunately falling in a pulsar. Want to talk
Pulsars
to me
are
what
not
happened?
really. Pulsar is the fair and balanced thing. Most fair and balanced thing in the game.
Yeah, it was some brutal RNG there too. Kept hitting your weapons as well.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I think both of you got forced. Well, the forced Zult in Sector 3 is never something you're really looking forward to having to deal with. So, in light of recent events, we've decided I think we're gonna take it a little bit easier on you two. I get to pick the seeds now. Geneva Convention. We'll just keep it between us. I'm assuming we're all cool here. Chat's cool. And it's not actually going to be a problem.
Yeah, don't worry. This isn't gonna be recorded or on the internet forever or anything like that.
Yeah, I feel good about this.
Yeah.
All right, so first we should do the ships, the banning. We have Mantis A, Kestrel B, and Lanny B for the ship suggestions. And I believe Necrorebel was second, so is first this time in the bannings. No.
Well, I think I'm gonna actually ban the Mantis A. I don't really want to do a boarding ship right now.
I like it.
I just Kestrel B then. Let's go.
Kestrel B?
I'm banning Lanius B, so we go Kestrel B.
All right, so there will be no boarding. We're going pew 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 pew.
And Kestrel B's flying on the background right now too. Well, it was. But...
So I will be providing the seed this go around, and the seed number is 3181523. Short and sweet.
No more pulsars.
I promise nothing.
I'm just hoping that the name is prophetic this time.
Well, at least he got a little more damage on this ship, so.
Yeah, a lot more.
But if both of you guys are ready, I'll count down again and we'll get the run started.
Think you're ready?
All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1, go. Good luck.
All right, so Kestrel B, again, this is a ship where you're gonna kind of push getting shields to get safe,
Yep.
But you let your basic lasers do your talking for you.
You know, the one thing for this format with that in mind is you are pretty strong offensively, right? So it might be beneficial to kind of, you know, like maybe you want to get your second shield first, but maybe you don't go ahead and get the buffer right away, so then you can jump and see if you have stores or whatever. And like where I know you have offense to kind of carry you a little bit further than most ships, right? You're still on that, like, hey, if you get a hull beam or a pike beam, now you're 2 basic lasers and a pike beam in the early game, right? And it's tough because, again, it's one of those things like, how much do you risk here, right? We have the one reset sector 1 death rule, right? So it's like, what do you, how far do you push? What do you do, you know?
Yeah, that creates certain interesting ideas that you can have in terms of like risk, where it's like I gotta risk it, but I gotta like die for it. Okay, so Necrorebel. Okay, first off, we had the asteroid fight after 2 empty jumps. Necrorebel sensors got hacked, where Holo had a shield hack, but managed to only take 1 damage in that fight. And Necrorebel opting to go ahead and upgrade piloting, I assume for manual search in the nebula.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm not a big fan on it, but you know, honestly, on this ship, I probably just rolled a crew anyway. You have 4 crews starting out.
Yeah, I think for like 4 cruise ships, it's much easier to sort of justify, you know, yeeting one out for the chance of a weapon, which is sort of the interesting thing about the Castrol B is the, you know, it's one of those 4-power weapon ships. There aren't that many. There's just, you know, Stealth B and Zoltan B. But some people really struggle sort of with the transition, as we said, between, you know, your 4 basic laser shots into something else, because it's like, oh, if I add another projectile weapon, I feel like I'm losing projectiles. But I always kind of just look at it as it's a ship that starts with 3 basic lasers and then just a bonus basic laser. So you have your 3 shots to set up a beam weapon or whatever for later on, and that basic laser is just something you can sell to get a 2-shot weapon online. And, you know, starting with 4 power and weapon is a lot of investment already into your ship. Wow, more ions in the store.
I guess, you know, for me, the way that I look at it too, Holo actually did exactly what I was saying, by the way. But the way that I look at it is like, yeah, it's 50 scrap to get 1 more projectile if you get a 2-power 2-shot laser, but it's still 1 more shot, right? Like 5 is way more, like 5 is so much better against 3 shields than 4 against 3 shields, right?
Yeah, and another way to look at it, like I said, you're going to be selling the 1 basic, so you get like 10 scrap back. And if you're getting
10
like
scrap, yeah,
if you're getting just going for the double powered weapons online for like another ship, it's like, all right, so you get, you know, burst laser 1, or you're just doing the 1 upgrade and the burst laser versus having to get 2 full upgrades to the system. That's actually going to cost you more than the 50 scrap for the 5th power in weapons.
Right. SD does bring up a good point too, that Castrol B compared to gross sector choices here, by the way. But Castrol B compared to a lot of other ships going into sector 3, you know, you still have 4 shots against 2 shields, and that's still okay, right? Like it's still okay, it's still serviceable. So you do have a little more time to find your offensive upgrades. You know, again, compared to other ships, but Holo chose Uncharted over Zoltan, which I can't blame him at all there. Like that's
I think the biggest issue is that this is 1.5 stores and Holo has 2 fuel.
Oh, true. I didn't even see the fuel.
That's the real spooky thing.
It is.
So one thing I'm, you know, fuel is an interesting one of the things in terms of like FTL strategizing, where like where are people's fuel caps, fuel floors, what they try to have. Like mine's 13. I generally try to like get it to 14 though, but I think with 13 fuel, I almost never run out. It's exceptionally rare that I actually run out of fuel during a run. But again, in terms of like risk assessment, I'm like, oh, okay, I don't want to run out of fuel because then I'm taking trades, that's less scrap, or I'm losing jumps as the fleet catches up to me. And that's not
Zoltan.
good. Yeah.
There's also on low fuel here too. But yeah, no, I agree. I kind of adopted the 13 fuel thing from you too, but I feel the same way. Like I don't want that self-imposed risk of running out of fuel, and then, you know, running out of fuel can be okay because you can only sit for a jump and then you get lucky, but like what about those times that you sit here and wait 4 times and now you gotta fight you know, now you gotta fight an elite, or, you know, every jump you're waiting that you get nothing from, you're getting nothing, right? Like you're losing jumps. It's like it's a big negative there.
Yeah. So me, where this is really like that cost benefit analysis, like, well, I'm gonna prioritize buying fuel and spend that 3 scrap for a couple extra fuel, so that you know, I'm not, like I said, having to take surrender offers or losing jumps, waiting for some fuel alternative to show up.
Right. So Hollow does get some fuel here, but he did have a fleet double on 0 fuel, but he did luck into 3 fuel here, so he's okay for now, right?
So it's actually possible, and Mike Copley did testing on this, that the uncharted sectors can actually spawn without a store. It's ridiculously unlikely to occur.
Yeah, it's like 0.1% or something like that.
Yeah, but it's going to be, so if there is an extra store, it's going to be in the non-nebula. So it's generally when scouting these kind of sectors, you want to try to prioritize seeing the non-nebula beacons in the hopes that they are going to be a store. But yeah, once you run out of fuel, aside from waiting for pursuit, all ships are going to start running away from you at the start. It's to prevent the game from soft locking.
Right. Oh, he does find the store here. That's really good. Kind of low scrap though. Can't really do too much. Just gotta buy the fuel and move on here.
Yeah, I guess I'm just really surprised you stuck him with another seed like this far. That was, I mean, that's a choice.
Yeah, you know, I played thousands of seeds in the last few days just to pick the worst ones, and here we are.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, what people do in their free time, I'm not one to judge.
Gotta keep it entertaining somehow, you know?
So we see this is a pirate light cruiser. I think this is still Sector 2. So yeah, it's one of those ships that can actually spawn in with 2 shields, the light surveyors. They can also have cloaking and 3 power and weapons. It's a really nasty fight can be. And because it's a slug ship, if it has a missile weapon, it's an Artemis.
Yep.
So slug ships only have Artemises, breach missiles, and fire bombs. Repair burst and an ion wow, that's
sick jump.
Yeah,
it's really good. So if what I'm thinking is right here from what we saw in your stream the one time with the sector layouts and stuff, I think NR should be finding this store up here for Sector 2.
Oh, right. Yeah. Like the store,
the beacon
map
layout
layouts
is the
for the
same.
sectors are exactly the same in the seeds.
Yeah,
so
and
it's
then
not
the
like somebody has
stores
a ton of jumps and somebody else doesn't. And the stores generally try to place themselves where they can. Of course, with the Zoltans will be non-nebula and these will be nebula, so it may not be exactly able to line up.
It's a different store though, I think.
That's curious. So it has the both ion weapons. So Hollow had run into a double ion weapon store, and I think it was those 2 early.
Hollow just got a free Pole Laser 2.
That's such a relief.
It's pretty good.
Abandoned 3 or Civi? I didn't see which one they went to. I just assume Civilian.
I think Hollow uses the hotkeys.
Right. Yeah. So Abandoned Sector 3, you won't be dealing with Lanius bombers. Those just don't show up until Sector 4.
Yeah, so it's still pretty okay to go.
Yeah, they can be pretty high scrap. But yeah, I mean, you're going to go, most people would just go civilian. Civilian's almost automatic. They are the highest scrap sectors on average and 2 to 3 stores, so.
Yeah, they're just pretty good. So Hollow skips the whole beam there, but he does have the whole 2, so, you know, he at least has something to build into. Necro grabbing, hacking here.
Yeah, hacking is a real op. You can go shield hacking for 4 shots.
Yep. You can win the game with cloaking, hacking, and your 4 basic lasers.
Not ideal.
Definitely not. It's not fun. 3 NG, that's pretty good.
Yeah, and again, so Hollow's not swapping over to the whole 2. It is slower. It's 3 shots for 3 power, but it's going to be slower. And when we're talking about normally you don't like being a hacking shield sort of setup that early on unless you have cloaking or resultant shield. to give you
Right.
some more like reliable defense. But what you get here is that your weapons are so fast. Like your crew's going to basically be trained very early on because they get XP for 4 shots. Normally, if you have the human there, then even faster. So the idea
Super
is that
quick.
you can just hack shields and then blitz enemy offense as fast as possible, and then try to go win from there.
Right. I do like the evasion hack here, though. Also, it's not really like that bad of a fight that you do need to hack, but Necro's on 14. Well, he was on 15 drone parts, so it's like, why not just start hacking everything right now? Speed up fights a little bit.
Yeah. Again, another thing where in terms of like the tournament, where there's just like, well, I would like to not use these bombs, or don't want to use a hack this fight, but then it could speed up the fight a considerable amount. Where it's like,
Right.
okay, is it over in 20 seconds or is it over in 60 seconds?
Right, and you know, a few of those type of fights in a nice heavy laser there. A few of those type of fights in the run, and you know, 5 seconds or 5 fights that you know you take 40 seconds longer on. That's it's a substantial amount of time at it. And I know there's burning through Sector 3 here, but the choice was NG and Zoltan, but Hollow will be on the bottom side of the map, so...
Yeah, NG sectors are
all
kind
the
of
sectors
weird
will be
for this kind
different.
of tournaments, just because they're more
Double
kind of like
burst,
free
sure.
stuff, and again, that doesn't help for score. And
Yep.
FTL being FTL, double burst lasers with a Zoltan shield. Yay!
Yep.
So I was gonna say, like, the heavy laser is a kind of interesting upgrade because it doesn't increase your shot count, right? Because it's still just the
Right.
4 shots, but you know, it is a little bit of extra damage, and particularly since you have hacking, you're kind of forced to commit to sort of this shield hacking setup. Well, eventually, once you start getting 3 shielded chips, you're really gonna have to do shield hacks because just sheer evasion in 4 shots like is not going to get it done against 3 shielded chips.
Right. Doing 2 damage through 3 shields is not that great.
She's running away.
That is a thing that Cassalien is pretty good at, is stopping ships from running. Hollow going into a store with 165 scrap here. Ooh,
Oh, all right.
insane store. Hacking, flak, burst 1.
Yeah, this is a store I would probably spend about 15 minutes just balancing out how much money I have. Yeah, you have to get
Same.
the fuel.
What did,
Probably trying to think if they could get the burst laser, but just going up to the 5 projectiles makes a lot of sense.
Right. No, I like leaving with hacking here too.
Yeah.
Like you have 6 projectiles now if you're Hollow, so. Oh, NR got a free flak, maybe? Or bought a flak? I kind of missed it, but he has a flak on his ship.
Wow.
So
Also,
both players are...
down to 2 fuel. Opted for the pilot hack
True.
here.
Yeah, Necro has been pretty much exclusively evasion hacking. Nice shield charge booster there. That's a spot where, like, do you take the surrender because the item's there, or do you get the kill? I mean, they had 3 hull left, right? So it's like there's 1 more volley there.
Right. Again, I think it's one of those things where you're going to be just making those kind of decisions like on the fly. And you're not able to just sit there and be like, all right, so here's their shots. What's the worst case scenario? What systems are they going to hit? Can I retaliate if they do this much damage to me? What's the follow up to that? And it's just like, look, if I, the nice thing about hacking engines is that there's a pretty high level of certainty. Sometimes shots will hit other projectiles, or they'll hit drones in that case. Sometimes guarantee is good.
Yeah, especially, when you can make sure you're safe. Which hey, is why hacking weapons and cloaking weapons is so good.
Really is. Really is. Yeah, so they both got flak, they both got hacking. Both got both have 5 crew as well. One has an NG versus and they're both NGs, like, despite the fact they went to different sector 2s.
Right. They're both NGs named Dolan, it looks like, too. Which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
The rules are so both players play the same ship on the same seed. We use a modded version of hyperspace to seed a lot of the same things in the run. And then the winner is determined by who either wins. So we have a formula that's time times
Thirds. Times the amount of time in
Oh,
minutes
yes.
to 2/3 power
times score.
times score. Yeah.
Right. And if a
That-
player dies, the surviving player has to get to the next sector basically to win. And it looks like NR did just complete the NG Homeworld quest too.
Hooray!
Another nice store for Hollow here, but buys scanners and fuel and repairs, which is pretty good. I mean, his offense is like okay for right now. And, you know, again, in this format, opting for scanners in this spot, you are, you know, on the idea that you're just going to be pushing to get scrap.
Necro's down to 2 fuel, but does have barb and scrap, so, you know, that's
Yeah,
good.
it'll be all right.
Yeah. Yeah. It's one of those things, like I said, in FTL where you, like my approach, I try to have like you want to have like a certain flexibility. I think starting out, you're just like, all right, like I just want to get burst lasers and, you know, flaks.
All the
and
good
that's it.
stuff.
Yeah, I just want only good stuff. I know what I can win. And then again, it really comes down to is just like, okay, I can get away with these weapons. What's my next big thing? And you're still doing that in this tournament. Like, yeah, there's still some more just kind of like score considerations.
Right. So Hollow's about, or Necro is about to leave Sector 4 here. And they
Necrorebel
have-
just sacrificed an NG to get a free NG.
That's awesome. I kind of
Yeah.
missed that.
That's like that's basically just like recycling.
It is. But NR's on 3 shields, bought his 4th engine, leaving Sector 4. Hollow just got into Sector 4. And I missed what sector they were in. But I guess it looks like Zoltan on. So it is, yeah, it is Sector 4 Zoltan, okay. I just didn't know if it was fully updated yet or not. So NR is about a sector ahead, so he's cooking on time. It'll be interesting to see. The thing with that though is that NG sectors generally tend to be quicker than other sectors because you're rolling less fights. You know, you might still be getting scrap rewards and stuff, but generally you're just rolling less fights. And he is in Sector 5 Rebel now.
Rebels tend to be a pretty good scrap sector. So, like we said, like tournament stuff, I've done some testing in trying to determine like what's the best approach to try and do well in the tournament. And I'm not going to tell you anything that I discovered because I am in a competition with other players.
That's the Crow I know. And ours kind of okay, he did get the O2 fixed, but it was looking like he might be in a predicament there, but it turned out okay.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know if you saw at some point during my run where there was a mind-controlled NG was just fixing like all the breaches that I had on my slug ship. I think it like fixed like 3 breaches. Let's put in work. It reminded me of Scott had that like one clip, yeah, where like NG like saved the run by fixing O2 and he couldn't do it.
Yep.
The magic of FTL.
Yep, that's awesome. Stuff like that is part of the reason why I like the game so much. Just because I don't know how things can shake out and happen sometimes. It's just so cool.
Yeah, so Necrorebel is 21 minutes into Sector 5.
Man, that's cooking. I think I'd still be in Sector 2.
Yeah, it makes sense to take a lot. It's funny, you know, while the ships do get progressively harder in runs, the later sectors are generally like after Sector 4, you normally have like stabilized in most runs, and those sectors are probably less threatening because you just get your cloaking, your hacking, and your weapons, and then you're making strategic decisions where the enemy ships are just, you know, doing what the AI tells them to with the auto firing of weapons and auto cloaking and whatnot.
Yeah, and I mean that really just goes to show the strength of systems, right?
Yeah, I know. So systems win games, you know, good decisions win games. But yeah, I mean, like, again, hacking is unsurprisingly like incredibly powerful. Where it's just like I have one system that I spent $80 on, which is like a burst laser, and it already comes with its like one power, and it's just okay. So my shots are gonna hit, or their weapons are slowed down to buy my time for my slower weapons to hit, or hey, maybe I can get some crew kills.
Hacking's really good. You know, it's interesting too because people say it's like overpowered and stuff, but just like the versatility it gives you, and it also adds depth to the game. It makes things more viable that wouldn't be if hacking didn't exist, right? Like you can't go full beam build without hacking, or you know, just like stuff like that. And
yeah, so Necrorebel did run out of fuel, and they opted not to buy fuel against missile, bomb, and heavy 2. Looks like.
yeah, it does look like that. Was it a fuel event? Because I kind of missed.
Yeah,
that
it was a fuel event. They
That's what I
offered
thought, yeah.
like, you know, 5 fuel for 50 scrap and 2 fuel for 30.
Oh, that one. Okay, I was thinking like the.
Yeah, so it is still possible that we won't get fuel from this. Not that I'm jinxing it, because I would never do that.
It does get fuel. Why be scared of running out of fuel when you just get fuel, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, true. Sisyphus was pointing out you can absolutely go beam builds without hacking. You just don't win.
You get 2 combat 2s, and it kind of works. I am very much of the same mindset where, again, hacking is incredibly powerful in the hands of the player, particularly since, you know, you can toggle it on and off to get it past defense drones. But yeah, to me, it does open the game to a whole new world of strategies. It's like a lot of the crew kill strategies kind of are based on having hacking, and like it turns the game from like, okay, so how can I maximize like the reward from this situation with like getting a crew kill, instead of you're just like, well, I'm just going to shoot them in the weapons, and then I'm going to shoot them in the weapons until they're not a threat, and then I'm going to shoot them in the shields, and that's what I'm going to do every single fight. So I think it adds like a ton of variety.
Me too. And I did pick up mind control. I missed what was on page 2 there. I'm not even sure if he checked, but he bought mind control, and he's actually gonna be in sector 6 here in 25 minutes. That's insane.
Yeah, like
I think he's like 2 or 3 jumps away.
Yeah, and like I think they had one NG sector, but they went through Zoltan. They didn't go through like Uncharted and get a bunch of nothing. It's just
right. Like he's
steal them.
He has
supplies.
made a lot of scrap here. You know, he's 3 shields, 4 engines, 6 weapon power, hacking, mind control, battery. Oh, he has doors, sensors, and pilot upgrade too. He's in an NG sector as well.
Yeah.
Kind of wonder if he's gonna be focusing on just kind of blasting through and trying to win right now. Holo has a nice store here, but I don't. This is like a hard thing to.
Your filter went again.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's actually me. I gotta make myself less attractive to not be so distracting.
Oh, that's fair.
You know?
Fair.
Yeah.
It is the burden of beauty. So I hear.
It is.
I
it
don't
really
personally
is.
know, of course.
It really is. It's a curse, you know.
Yeah. No. I think after the tournament, I'm gonna participate in a march to help the beautiful people. You know, try to make sure they're represented and on flight.
Had a cameo. Yeah, they're just getting home from school, but they're gonna be going to grandma's. So.
Yeah, but I assume Holosh is pretty much in I just want cloaking, give me cloaking, I want cloaking now mode.
Fair, yeah. I think it'd be interesting to go just try to win like this, not like saying that's what he should do, but like just trying to push it. Like your offense isn't that good, right? And no cloaking. But I don't know, at this part, like you're so early into the late game here that you could just start farming and like really taking time farming, start diving, you know, all of that stuff just to boost your score a little bit more. And then, you know, then go in. But
yeah, there's also
thanks,
these
Jessa.
there's also these little things where like Hollow is like crew needs to heal. Well, normally I would just send crew to heal after the fight, get my oxygen back up to 100%. You know, but now yeah, it's between jumps. Trying to figure out like that repair, don't really need it. It's fine.
Right.
Maybe.
Yeah, so NR was at the exit beacon of Sector 6 here, and Hollow is just into Sector 5. But I think NR is still jumping around to take fights. I think he's trying to find that store, but... And Hollow is still only on the 6 projectiles. There's me taking 4 hours in a store. It's beautiful.
Hey, stores are important, you know.
They are.
Do you do the grocery shopping, or because you know you eventually do have to like feed your kids?
I do it twice a week, but it takes 2 weeks, so it's tough, you know.
I mean, because you got to check out the candy aisle, and then, you know, is there some ice cream on sale, and what new flavor of Oreos are out there? Which I believe right now the new flavors of Oreo are Sour Patch Oreos and churros.
That sounds good. That sounds really good.
I don't know if anybody's particularly just throwing that out there, buying both and then creating a Franken cookie of sour churro. Cassalien has just informed me that we are not responsible.
Give me 1 second here.
Okay, yeah, we are not responsible for anybody who
Sorry,
actually
guys.
goes and ingests sour churro Oreos. That's all on you. This is not an endorsement of those activities. Necrorebel does have cloaking, and just in time when you run into what is that? A flak 1, burst 1, and 2, and heavy laser. I want their weapons. And they threw in 3 rock borders as well. Fun.
All right.
Rock ships are
My
so
bad on that.
No, that's all right. Rock ships are like because are chunky. They because you got the hull, but they also have rock plating, so they don't die, and then they often have cloaking at this point. That's a store.
Ooh, that is a store. That's really good. Oh, I see Necro did find cloaking here, so that's pretty good.
I was contemplating whether they want to hold on to the pike or not.
So it looks like NR is booking towards the exit here. He looks like he's taking a beeline, so I think he's gonna go try to win with what he has right now. Do you know if he has any weapons in tow?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I didn't really see it either. Yeah, he's on the exit right now. He's gonna be in Sector 8 here. Oh,
Well,
there it is. There he is. Okay, well, GG.
Yeah, that's just do that.
We'll see if he jumps around a little bit, but it looked like he's just going to try to win. He's favoring speed here.
Also, just chat. Don't worry. We do inspect everybody's keyboards beforehand to make sure there's no free weapon buttons currently engaged on them.
Yeah, the only one that's allowed that is Crow.
Yeah, I got grandfathered in.
Yeah. Well, you know, when also you write the rule book that. Oh wait, I probably wasn't supposed to say that, was I?
No, and the rulebook says you're not supposed to say that. So,
man, I'm sorry. Don't. You know, I'd like to be back for this.
We'll see.
Hollow slapped his forehead, I think, because he hacked something he wasn't supposed to. Could be wrong though.
I think it was just in this time on hacking there with Necrorebel.
Ah, I gotcha. I mean, hey, look, when you are trying to play this fast, that's gonna happen, right? Like, you just start losing sight of
weapons
things.
has basic laser online instead of the flak. Yeah, that's.
Ah, gotcha. Good call, Ryan. Or Farb. My bad.
There's two of them, so they can be doubly disappointing. Anyways, yeah. So again, in terms of like the formula, I think that because it's the 2/3, where as time goes on, like score has more of an impact. But if you're gonna like kill the flagship in like 35 sub 40 minutes, then really that option to like try and farm up to overtake it really isn't going to be there. And Hollow doesn't know.
Right.
Like Hollow has, does not know what Necrorebel is doing, doesn't know where they are in the run to try and gauge where you are. You're kind of just playing the run as it's given to you.
You know, what's wild about this too is it's still gonna be a pretty decent score too. So it's not like he's, pushing a sub 4K run in 30 minutes.
Okay, cloaking hack is pretty dealable with.
Yeah, but to phase 1 in 33 minutes is absolutely wild. This is quite a show by NR here. And I think, yeah, Hollow is still in Sector 5 as well, so, he's either going to have to, like, start just booking it or just get a ton of score, because you really need a ton of score to compensate for that, right?
I mean, the weapons are good. I don't know if they're going to kill ships fast enough.
Fast,
good.
yeah.
It's like one of the things is like, getting Halberd Beam on that essentially like last jump of the sector. Really,
it's so huge.
Yeah,
it's
because
so
you're looking at like,
lucky.
like 5-6 shots, the DD drone occasionally shooting down one. You have some problems, some evasion, bad events happen. 4 shields, like there's going to be long periods of time where you're just like not hurting the ship, and Halberd Beam is just like, no, it's all good. I got you. We're just gonna cut the ship in half. So it really speeds along this, and trying to kill it before the second surge happens. That's when.
Okay, so Hollow is in Sector 6 now, yeah. But yeah, this is just like such an insane pace from Necro here.
Through a hole to get through phase.
I'll be interested to see if he chooses to kidnap or just go for it.
Yeah, I think there were some like sector choices that were different. I think Necro pushed, ran out of fuel. Holoshideim ran out of fuel like earlier than what Necro did.
Right.
But yeah, Necro just kind of like got the items exactly when you needed them to kind of just keep on progressing, keep on trucking, so to speak. And then just was able to identify like in a position of like being able to push to just try and kill the ship. And again,
Right.
Hollow is not a slouch. I mean, people who are on the channel know that Holoshideim has done a cycle in like 20 hours, which is beating all 28 ships in 2 like 10-hour sessions. It does speedy runs on the side as well.
Yeah, Hollow speedruns are fun to watch. But yeah, like Hollow's still in Sector 6 in 35 minutes, right? Like that's still insane too. Like, it's wild, man.
You can kind
Looks
of
like
see.
NR's trying to stay here.
Yeah, you know, you sort of set up get out strats, but you know, you're just gonna put it in again where like hacking halberd. If you don't get hit in hacking, and you have those 2 double buffer points for your weapons, you're pretty good. I mean, 2 swipes is 16 hull.
Yep, that's a lot.
And you know and it can't miss, so like dropping that Zoltan shield, you know that you have that guaranteed 4 damage to get through the Zoltan shield versus the shots. And like in phase 3 the flagship has 6 engines, so it just dodges a ton.
Right.
And your mind control is kind of set up to just deal with borders. We're down
One
to,
more
like,
hole
one
to go.
here. Yeah.
Kind of a hectic phase 3, but did a really good job holding it together. Nice run. That was
GG's.
really impressive.
Yeah. Being able to recognize, like I said, that you could was already going before they got the halberd beam. Like that's the thing.
Yeah, he was full committed to it, which is wild. Like it was, I think he had flak, heavy laser, and a basic laser, maybe?
They were only running 5 weapons, so they were just, Necro was just doing the basic laser, heavy laser. They were not running the flak, which, I mean, phase 2, it would be just as good, so might as well, like, okay, if I get hit in the weapons, like, didn't have a buffer point for the weapons, only had 3 shields.
Yeah, nice run, NR, that was nuts. I think Hollow's gonna be coming up on the store that had cloaking and stuff that NR hit.
Yeah, I mean you're floating like 426 scrap and you only have hacking. Like that's not normal. Like you would normally get shields up with like in these kind of setups.
Huh. Oh, it was because Necro was in an NG sector and Hollow is in Mantis. So the store probably was an extra store.
Oh, they'd go ahead and get shields 3.
Yeah, he heard you. Yeah, I mean, Hollow is in a spot where you can still win the run, you know, kind of like this if he gets 4 shields and you know, more engines, but obviously you still want to have cloaking and all that.
Yeah, I mean, our 6 shots, that's more offense than what Necro had. It's tough for me to go right now and like calculate the math out of like, okay, so you're spending 150 scrap on cloaking and then another 75, and that's your 224. Like that's those 2 systems.
Right,
it still has some more sectors to go.
And Hollow does have a pike beam in cargo, I think, still.
Oh, right. Okay, just going to the exit, not diving. That again, from like when I was doing my run, Uncharted, not what you were looking for. Your Sector 7, but here's what it is. Again, 3 fuel. But you're sort of hoping like, yeah, you get slug and you just get a juicy slug sector where you're just killing ships as fast as possible. But again, it is going to be tricky because, you know, slugs are going to have cloaking. There are going to be slow fights. But I say like when I was doing my runs, trying to make those decisions like when to dive, when to fight for it.
Nice cloaking find. Yeah, you gotta buy all the fuel here. Again, you know, he's in Uncharted, Sector 7. There's only 1 beacon outside the nebula, it looks like.
So, like, another difference in between these runs was, like, Hollow is doing a lot of healing to full, which is something that I think Hollow really I don't want to say, not inherently just like Pioneer, but, like, really engages a lot into the, you know, a lot of players kind of sit on 20, 22 repairs is where they kind of set that ceiling.
Yeah, I definitely see him healing to full or more than, you know, let's say 25 to full than like everybody else.
But honestly, you know, I mean, of course, it makes sense. I mean, his success rate shows that there's some really good, you know, numbers backing up the theory of the strategy. But if you don't have cloaking, you can then have this idea of like, all right, I'm just going to take those hits if I need to, and hope that my hacking and my powerful weapons equalize that fight.
Right. It's a very impressive ship over there.
Yeah, do you think like its evasion should be lower? Because like when it fires those two weapons,
It's heavier.
Like it pushes the ship backwards in space.
Right.
Right?
It has to.
Yeah.
Plus,
That's
the guns
just
are like
physics.
half the length of the ship, too,
Yeah, that's another thing. Like, in playing the game, is really looking at the size of the weapons and then looking at the crew. Like maybe the flak do just shoot rock crew out of them. It's actually possible.
It's true.
Ions are probably just like spent Zoltans. Just. And then another thing is like, the different approach to fights where it's just like there are fights where it's like, all right, I'm gonna crack weapons and then be really tactical, and other times it's just like I'm just gonna dunk shields. Maybe I'll eat a weapon or two, take those hits to get there fast. Oh, blue.
It is definitely interesting playing in a different way. With ultimately the same goal, right? Like you're still trying to win. It's just you're trying to go about it in a different way. Nope. Spoilers.
Yeah. That is a golf score. All right. Again,
Nobody saw it. Don't worry.
Much like my all right. So that same bubble we had about the Geneva stuff, extend to that. No one saw that. Just be cool.
Exactly.
Cool. Shh.
It's nothing.
Yeah.
It does look like Hollow's trying to see if this is a store out there. See, like this too, that's kind of what I was talking about before, right? Like you passed up on the fight, but you're still getting scrapped there, and then it's also the whole saving the time thing. 43 minutes into Sector 7, Hollow is probably thinking he is on a monster pace. You know what I mean? Like this is still a pretty good. Yeah, it was interesting. This is still a really good time and a really good place to be, right? Yeah, that's a good question, Dig Dog. It's not like we're like war criminals or anything, It definitely could not be us.
That's funny. We were talking about Hollow there, and then you
close.
mentioned it, Dig Dug. So, why don't you ask yourself that question? Why?
Geneva suggestions. I like it.
I only got 37 scrap. That was actually less than the surrender offered. It gets the points for the crew kill or the ship kill, of course.
Right, because it's a ship. The ship kill it's ships times 20, right?
Yes.
So then a ship is worth 30 points. So you have 30 points plus the scrap. Right. Yeah. And then like in-game score. Right. So you have, let's say you get 30 scrap from a fight, that's 60 points. So you need 60 scrap to equal the points from a ship kill with 30 scrap, right? So it's kind of, it's interesting because go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, those who did their homework, we do know what the tables are, rewards for every single sector in hard mode, where it's like low, medium, and high, so you can know what your general ranges of rewards are. And so I didn't see the scrap totals between the one fight to the other one, where one might have been in that high scrap reward, where I was just all right, that's above 50, that's my threshold, that's high reward, I'm gonna take that. And the other one was 44, and it's just no, it's worth rolling to try and get more out of it.
Right.
If I got those numbers right, which I probably didn't.
Mike!
Don't abuse Mike to doing all your homework. That's what I have him for, and I don't want him to get tuckered out. doing all of my stuff.
I just ask him stuff he already knows. That's my trick.
Oh, yeah. No, I like sending clips of like runs to Mike, and then he just says he mentions is like, what is wrong with your game? I don't know what I'm doing. I thought you knew
got a
everything.
special version.
No. My haunted version of FTL.
It's true. I have seen your game do the weirdest things, man.
Alright, going for a dive. So only get one fuel from these dive ships. Don't know if stick around and kill it for the extra points.
Well, like we just talked about, it is 30 score, right?
Yeah, and I mean, it kind of answers the question when.
Either, but...
Yeah, but it kind of answers the question when the first volley goes directly into shields. Holo is trying, and yeah, like it kind of makes sense because you look at where your engines are at, and yeah, might as well.
Right.
Took a little bit more time, but ends up being more score. Good old routing of sectors.
It's a pretty sweet weapon setup.
Yeah, like I think once you switch to the pike, it shows a sign you're more so committed to trying to go for like shield hacks now.
Yeah, some Necro finished his run in about 37 minutes, which is insane. It's so good, it's so fast.
Careful not to take any accidental surrenders. Yeah, like I don't have those hotkeys bound. I just use the mouse on everything. I have it actually specifically that I can't use hotkeys to accept surrenders or anything.
Right. All I hear is, I have a giant skill issue.
Oh, okay. We'll get that's definitely always. I'm sure Cassalien can work on that and fix the audio. That's what you're hearing.
Yeah, there must have been a glitch there.
Mm-hmm.
I'd never.
Cheeky
Nice
swipe?
cheeky
Cheeky swipes. Wow. All right. So, here, those who aren't familiar with cheeky swipes, is you run the beam between rooms. And so the beams actually have a thickness to them, so they'll damage the rooms above and below. But a well-placed cheeky swipe, it's actually possible for them to damage one room twice. So, like, if you're up against like a really disgusting like weapon loadout, it is possible to sort of beam between the rooms and trigger 2 hits to try and knock their weapons offline.
There's also a way to hit multiple, the same room multiple times too.
But yeah, it also can give you it gives you access to different, like the different swipes means you actually some beams can do more damage. So halberd beam, instead of just only doing 8 damage to the flagship, if you run it to the rooms just above med bay, you can actually get a 5 damage swipe out of it, or a 5 room swipe essentially.
Swipe,
so you can
yeah.
do, so 2 halberd beams will like one-shot phases 1 and 2 or 1 and 3 when they normally would not.
Yeah, the trickiest thing about the cheeky swipes is finding the pixel to do it on.
Yeah. Flak 2 burst. So many burst 3s.
Mm-hmm.
It's
They
so
like
funny.
their big guns.
Yeah. Because like in the game, if you actually read like item descriptions, I mean, Burst Laser 3, of course, says impressive barrage. It's a gun that's pretty universally despised. And then things like dual lasers are just like, well, it's okay for now, but you want to get something better. It's like, what are you finding that's better than dual lasers out there?
That's so good. 1 shot or 1 power for 2 shots, 10 seconds. It's like, it's insane.
So it really kind of makes this like shield hack work. Is we're talking about like, you know, when you're firing a bunch of shots, like evasion hack can be really strong because you're just ensuring that like what the results of your volley are going to be. But here, particularly with their boarding, they don't have enough crew to do all the repairs. So once the beam swipes through the like 4 rooms of the ship, the pilot just leaves. So then it drops down to the autopiloting is what's going to have to do some of the dodges. Plus, you just ran through engines, so they lose both man bonuses. Engines take like a 5% hit as well. And we're to the flagship. And weapons are hacked. Gross.
It's kind of gross. I guess at least he has, 7 projectiles that are fairly fast, so...
Yeah. It's
That's an
curious if you go,
upside,
like,
but-
if you try to pike swipe through, like, cloaking and shields here, and maybe try to bring down the hacking and cloaking to get another volley in
Right.
and just eat the missiles, or play it safe.
Yeah, you broke hacking in one of your runs today, right?
Yeah, I at some point, I can't remember
I
what
forget
it
what
had.
ship, what run it was.
Yeah, there are a couple fights where I
Oh,
like,
it was the one you had Zoltan shields on.
Oh,
they
right,
had the
yeah,
late
yeah.
hack
Oh
on
my
there,
gosh,
yeah.
that was such a brilliant play that I made. Oh, I'm
It
so
was,
good.
actually.
So yeah, because there's going to be delayed hacking because the Zoltan shields, I crushed.
What was that about
their-
audio glitches? I think we just heard one.
Sounded crystal to me.
Cass, did you catch that?
Yeah,
Did you fix
so
it? Oh, you did. Okay. Okay.
I'm
Gotcha.
trying to educate the viewers, please. Peanut gallery cease. Anyways, during my genius play, what I was doing was that the Zoltan shield delays the hack on your ship, and what can happen is like it hits your weapons, and their cloaking and hacking are not synced, and they can essentially just lock you out of your weapons by cycling between the two systems. And as each system is activated, it eats into the cooldown time of the other. So yeah, I expertly removed their hacking from the equation to avoid that situation.
Was pretty good.
Some say exceptional, but yeah, pretty good. Sure.
Everybody's saying it. It's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah. And one more phase to go. Does not have a counter to mind control, so it's starting to put their crew into rooms that aren't going to be a danger, including moving the piloting during the jump transition.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah, that's a really cool strat. So a lot of things will just like crew kill crew kill as much of the crew as possible in the early phases, and doesn't look like there's going to be too many boarders.
You can also do that same sort of idea with timing your crew movement during the jump to have all of your crew land in the same room. A little more complicated to do on no pause, but it is doable. But here you don't want to take the time to do that anyway. You just kind of want to do it like Holo did, I think. That's just like super quick, easy way to do it.
All right. Again, we're just really, really hoping that cloaking or hacking and weapons stay up.
Yep.
All right, 3 damage to missiles. Cloaking is still good. Probably level 3 cloak. Kind of hoping that the pilot leaves. Nice. So because there had already been a
it should
slight
be
damage
fine
through
now.
the piloting, when the pilot leaves, then level 2 piloting, so a lot less evasion.
GG.
GG's. Yep.
2 really good rounds.
55 minutes. All right. So with that, again, we're going to go ahead and take a break while we tabulate scores, and then we'll come back with the results. So we'll see you afterwards. Thanks, everyone, for hanging out. All right, so welcome back. We are here with both of our racers, Necrorebel and Holoshideim. So we'll start with Necro there. How'd you think that your run went?
I pretty much just got to the point where I thought I have I've won with the build that I currently have before. I'm just going to go for the flagship fight, round about Sector 5, I think that was. And then I got to actually ended up seeing a store with 2 distress beacons, I think, in Sector 6, and then got cloaking there, and then I got that halberd beam, which was very, very helpful. I hadn't been going to
halberd
actually
beam was
pivot
huge.
into the shields hack at that point, but then I got that halberd beam, and that actually really made things a lot easier. I think I could have won without it, but yeah, definitely helpful. I don't think I've ever had a run that was that fast before. I don't think I've ever had that low scoring a run before. So that was a very weird one for me, but pretty awesome too. I'm glad that worked out.
Yeah, 37 minutes is like blistering pace, man. It's
yeah.
so fast.
People usually say that I go fast when I do like 50-minute runs, and that's that's usually what
Yeah.
I consider a fast run. So yeah, 37 is crazy.
Set a new standard for yourself. And so, Hollow, what do you feel about your run and how that went?
My run was very slow because early game I felt like I was getting only empty beacons, so it took a while before I could get a ship going, and I had fuel issues because of the empty beacons, so it took a very long time. In the mid game there were good weapons, but it was still slow to push through, so I tried to, I don't know, kill as many ships as possible. So I guess a completely different approach.
Yeah, actually, I think both of you had run into fuel issues. You, Hollow, had them just a little bit earlier, like hitting like you went into like the nebula sector with like 4 fuel in sector 2, which that's definitely not ideal. And then I know Necrorebel was tapping into some of the fuel events.
Yeah, I was buying a bunch in stores as well.
Yeah, the RG of FTL. So I think with that, without further ado, we can actually bring up the tournament ratings for those runs.
So we got Hollow with 392.33, and Hollow with, I'm losing it, NR with 333.49. So Hollow does take that one. I do think that's pretty interesting, actually.
What was my time?
Your
55
time?
minutes, it says.
Yeah, 55 was definitely still a pretty good time.
Actually,
so that's very respectable. So congratulations on the win for that.
I was not expecting that, honestly.
Yeah, I honestly actually thought that the time that I saved would actually.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Well,
it's very hard to judge like the comparison from score and time, because especially this run where it's very like kind of the opposite, it's very hard to judge, I guess.
Yeah, you know, it's it's just like, I feel, I mean, this is why we do the show matches and stuff, though, just to see this sort of thing happen, right? Because it's basically the same score per minute. You know, Hollow has a little bit more because it's 56 to 55, right? So I don't know. It's really interesting to see how big of a discrepancy it is here, right?
Yeah, so this is as I said, this is actually the first time we've tried using the new formula from the old one. So, you know, these kind of runs are actually really fantastic, I think, to give people like the perspective, because a lot of what we're doing here, again, the formula is inherently arbitrary. It is to try and to coax players to play fast enough that we can get runs done, while also allowing them to, you know, ensure that they don't feel like they just have to make as many risky plays as possible to stay within it. And again, it's something that we will monitor as we go forward. And this isn't the real tournament. This is just the showcase. Yep. It's all right. Things could change and players can adapt moving forward. That's what we do in FTL.
You know, and the thing I will say too, and I don't have the link on hand, but like if you do want to join in the discussion about, you know, the formula and all that stuff, we do have a Discord that's centered around the tournament and all of that, and we do value feedback from, you know, pretty much everybody. So, you know, hop in and go from there. Learn what? Anyway, but yeah, I think you know, I still think it was awesome to see both styles play here. I really like the whole, like, just pushing it, trying to go win as fast as you can. You know, 37 minutes, 3,700 score, like that's insane, right? Like that's so crazy. It's such a
some 40 minutes are very difficult.
Yeah, still gotta call that a good run.
Yeah, like that's awesome. Like that's they're unique runs too, right? So it's really cool.
So I think we're going to be wrapping it up there for the day. So thank you, chat, everyone, for joining us. Thank you, Farb, for joining me up in the booth. And again, thanks to Cassalien for the back end and making sure that the herding of us cats went about as well as can be expected. Necrorebel, do you have anything you want to say before heading out? Like talk about your channel, maybe?
No, I don't think so for today. So yeah, thank you for all the casting, and thank you, Cassalien, as you said. And then just yeah, that was fun stuff, though.
Yeah, thanks for the exciting runs. And I guess we'll just hand it over to Holoshideim to close out the channel.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for the obviously casting, participating, Cassalien for organizing everything. It's a lot of work. There is a lot to manage in the background, so it wouldn't be possible without all that work. So that's very good. So I'm happy to have hosted this showcase. So I'm looking forward to the tournament in the future. So yeah, as usual, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.